Привет из Дубая. С вами передача «Голубь мира», где разбираем крутые навыки. Спрашиваем на английском, отвечаем на русском. Подтягивайте язык или смотрите перевод в тайм-кодах. Let's talk about research and let's start with the definition.
Research, this is attempt to understand something about a person, about a company, about industry. It was a time I was working for Alpha Capital. This is investment company. It is located in Moscow, but we have a branch in Kiev, and I was responsible for documents prepared for the meetings. For example, I will meet Maxim Golub, and I do not know this man, and I should be prepared. And I was writing papers. Sometimes it was 3 pages, sometimes this was like 60 pages. And after this document, me or something else who would be representative from a side of my company would understand how to talk with Maxim. And this document has a very strict paragraphs, how invite, how to meet, how to talk, what to eat, what music should be played, what topics should be discussed, and so on. The same with companies. For example, I was asked by some our client to find cannery plant. Консервный завод. Cannery, yes?
Can plant, probably.
Can plant, maybe. Or, for example, sugar plant, or кондитерская фабрика, dessert plant, dessert.
Dessert plant or maybe like a sweet factory or something like this.
Cake factory. Yes, okay. So if you do not know nothing about man or company, you should make research of the market, research of your niche, research of, I don't know, even some men you would invite to join your company.
And when it comes to research itself, obviously, we need to understand first thing is the goal, like why exactly we're trying to conduct certain things and what exactly we will be doing with the results. And then the second part is like what kind of areas we will need to look into this. So let's start with the first part, like how to define the goal, the final outcome.
You know, it is a funny story, and I should tell you. It would be for very first time. I think I was working in Germany in Frankfurt on Main, and I was asked to go to one client just to look how I could describe this client after my visit. And I have no goal. I just came. I was looking around, and then I wrote a big statement about this company. And there were two my bosses. One was responsible for economics, another was for technical side. They were sitting all together with very sad faces, and I was saying what I have found. I described which kind of air conditions they have, water supply, electricity, material for floors, for walls, and so on. And suddenly they say, yes, it is everything about techniques, but do you know something, their people, their goal, their mission, their values? And I was astonished. I never heard these words. So when you're making research, you should meet requirements of your customer. For example, you could ask what you should show in your essay, or you should prepare a short plan and to make an agreement that this would be like a skeleton of future description.
So when we know the areas that we are going to invest and explore, we know the goals that we are going to achieve. But when we talk about the tool set or the methods or mechanics that we are going to use, what is the general list of the things that we probably could use in order to help us to conduct such researches?
Maxim, it was a time I was expecting almost 300-hour issues. You could understand, but maybe our visitors will not. You should know about game theory. You should know management conceptions and also business models. These three skills which we develop in School of Troubleshooter, and we are preparing our students to know about this. This is the main goals. If you has no idea about SWOT, about test on some other kind analysis, you couldn't make research. You know why? The main reason is a lot of bosses are graduated from well suited and well managed universities, and they are expecting some issues in your description, in your exploration. So you should meet these requirements.
And actually, since you're talking about the bosses, how the one should be conducting research when there is a certain bias. Like, for example, someone is actually trying to, influence the results that you're getting. Or sometimes people also say you might be married to your idea that, you will be focusing on something and you will try to make sure to only see what exactly is matching it, and maybe somehow like try to neglect whatever is not. So how to fight with the different types of the biases?
You find the exactly right words to fight against biases. When I was studying law in university, suddenly this was a speech from our teacher who told us it was sometime judge will press on one side, and everyone would think that this side would lose the case. But suddenly, in last moment, judge will say that this side is winning. So if you have your prescription, if you have your idea, if you have your предубеждение, prejudice.
It could be justice or prejudice.
Yes, correct, prejudice. If you have correct prejudice, you should fight against it. For example, you like this company, you like this man. You should always think, I don't want to be очарован, engaged.
Maybe like obsessed.
Yes, correct. You shouldn't be obsessed with your idea. So you should definitely show to yourself, okay, I like this person, I like this company, I like this industry, I like this niche. I shouldn't write nothing about this, just something opposite.
And okay, so for example, we know how to fight with the biases. Now, obviously, there might be like a different expectations from us. So how do we go from the level 0, like when we just like don't really know what to do, from the top level where we actually can amuse whoever is will be using the result of our research?
You should be married with your customer. It is a strange word in English, but it is okay to pronounce in Russian. If you making research for the very first time, you should go with your paper to your customer, and he or she would read it, and then he or she will ask you a questions. By the way, how to tell he or she, how it is usual?
It's better to say they,
They.
unless we want to be specific.
Okay, so you should allow them to ask the questions, and you should understand, and you should write all this question on the paper, write it down, and then include in your research. Second stage, when you will be with paper, you will be presented in the same room, but person will read everything and will say, okay, understood, you can go. And most advanced level, this to create your paper like a baby. Baby will go to children garden or to the school and will talk by themselves without you. So if some person will think about any question in their head, after several paragraphs, this person should find the answer and be amused.
And when it actually comes to a different types of the information which we are going to extract, obviously, like data is, I would say, would be relatively straightforward. And when I'm saying straightforward, I don't mean that it will be easier, but when it comes to people, like they could give you like a different, I would say, like outputs. So how to deal, with getting the information from the people, because, it could be different, it could be misleading, it could be misconducting. And especially when you speak to many of them, you probably would be left with even more questions.
It is very easy, but I don't know one word and I will need your help. I have an article where I am writing that usually information goes from the people like a береза,
Birch.
like a birch juice in the spring. So if you will just make small hole in the person, it will completely fill your interest. The main rules or main methods are вербовка,
recruitment,
or another is недоверие, untrust.
Yes, and trust.
If you will show to the person untrust, this person will do everything to convince you, and you should just be less and less untrust. And suddenly you will say, okay, come on, you're right person. Now I believe. And this method also has a good result, because this person will think, okay, I win this game, I won this battle. And they will never think that they just throw away very valuable information.
And maybe actually to narrow down this case, for example, there might be certain type of, let's say, product researches when you just need to get unbiased answers without, like, for example, asking leading questions, or maybe your research is actually observe people or companies or maybe like a certain processes. So how do you go about this? Like, how do you get, I would say, like a clean data without using the tool that actually could affect the measurements?
You should understand that it was a long time ago when I started this activity, and the internet was very weak and very small. At this time, screen size was like 1,000 dots per 800 dots, so it was really small, and all pages were just like visit cards. So we used newspapers, and we were going to some small cities, and we were sitting in the libraries. So we were putting some special marks, like yellow one, marker. Is it correct word, marker?
Marker.
We were using a marker of the yellow color, and after my work with newspaper, another person would put everything in computer in database if for any case that will happen in the future. But anyway, the main method, it was to read as many newspaper as possible. Usually I was reading newspapers of the region like for 3 years. And you know how to read this? First, you should understand that maybe in this region you would work after 5 or 10 months. So you should read newspaper not about your object of interest, all newspaper. And you know, it is very funny. After several months, suddenly you will realize that you know a lot of everything. Right now we have an internet and also Artilect, and the main problem is that after 2006 we have in internet much more fake news than real ones. So you should read a lot of different sites, and also paid one. A lot of people think that there are just one internet on the planet. No, this is not. First, we have just usual internet like Bing, like Yahoo, like Google or Baidu. Second, we have darknet, special sites where we could buy information. And also we have special agencies like News, MIG News, or Reuters, or John Telluride, and some else. And if you have paid access to these pages, you will be снабжен,
Equipped.
equipped with very latest data.
It's actually quite interesting because quite recently I was researching the site archive.org. So you can get all of the different, like, for example, old radio stations from 30, and you actually can hear the voices and all of the news. So literally you can see the source, like newspapers and articles, etc. And my last question will be how knowing about research would help to make this world a better place.
To be honest, I use this skill every day. Even this whole night, I was not sleeping because right now we have another corporate war with some very tough guy in the Moscow. And I was researching a lot of papers about him, about our relations. And I was preparing with help of my partner, Daniel Schmidt, document for 15 pages. And this would not be seen by any single soul. It was just for us. And maybe on next week we will have a meeting, and I will know a lot of this person, and probably he would not have the same size of information in his head. So if you have child, if you have spouse, if you have boss, if you are already learned how to do research, you could understand these people better than they themselves.
А мы рассмотрели навык исследования и чем он полезен именно вам. Всем мира!